you all for joining us again for another episode of Pursuit of Purpose. I'm Rob.
I'm Chuck.
And today we have with us a very special guest. I'm going to let him introduce himself and just tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is David Cook. I'm 41 years old, here from Southeast Texas, born in Beaumont, raised in the area, traveled a little bit, but I am back in Lumberton, Texas, a resident for the last 8 years, I believe. I have a son. He is 18. He is currently not working, so he's looking for a job. But that's it. Just me and my son and our new cat that he rescued, Stella. And so it's just the three of us. And that's it.
So has Stella gotten her groove?
No, Stella is scared of her own shadow right now. Big house, if you will. And there's no other critters in there, so she is not comfortable yet. But she has not gotten her groove yet.
So, very good.
She'll find it.
Yeah,
she'll find it.
So something we'd like to start with, and I mean, you've never been our guest here, and
Correct.
So this is about your story. It's about your journey. So tell us about your childhood. Where'd you grow up?
So I grew up. My mother won't like this, but we grew up in Caney Head. I grew up in.
Wow, smile for me.
Yeah.
Look at those teeth. That's impressive.
Yeah, I got out quick.
You got a lot of envy coming from the folks up there.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I grew up born in Beaumont, raised in Silsbee for a little bit, migrated to Austin, lived there for a little bit. And so if I would say my home city, my hometown, I went to school in Warren, so I grew up in Warren and Hillister as well. So I call this my hometown area. So, but this Southeast Texas is where I grew up. This is where I plant my feet, basically.
Very good.
Yeah.
So you went to Texifornia for a little while, but made your way back home to Southeast Texas.
Yeah. I moved I moved a little bit over, traveled, even went over to Louisiana. And they say the best thing coming out of Louisiana is I-10 West, which is absolutely the truth. And I nothing against Louisiana, but I do not miss that at all. So, I've been back over here for about 8 years. And the area is the area, right? You get what you put in it. I've lived in Austin. I got what I put in there. Moved to Wyoming for a little bit. Got what I wanted. Never want to go back. People say never. I'm never going back to Cheyenne, Wyoming. That's a guarantee. I don't do the
cold. At least not to live there anyway.
Not to live, not to work, not to visit.
Oh, come on. You might visit.
No. Colorado I could probably do, but yeah, not Cheyenne. So other than that, this is my hometown. So yeah.
Well, that's a lot of moving. And so what was discipline like in your home growing up?
It was solid. It was, my dad is 77. He's a Vietnam vet, 101st Airborne.
Nice.
He was a 5-man team. Hit the ground, first in, last out kind of thing. And so the structure from him I think I met him when I was 12. That, of course, he didn't have any kids at home, right? He's I think he's 10 or 11 years older than my mother. So his kid days were over. He didn't have a 12-year-old. I was the baby. My brother and I lived there. So my brother's 3 years older than me. So we were at home. And so the structure from a Vietnam vet was very stern. There was no need to raise a hand. There was no reason to raise a belt. It was immediately, when I say goes, and not in a disloving way, but in a, this is the way it's supposed to be, Now, before I call him dad, before my dad there, my mother obviously has been there my whole life. And there's two people that I'm afraid of still today, and that is God and my mother. And if I had to face one of them, I would probably say God. My mother is probably every bit of 5'2", but she is a quiet but hailstorm at the same breath. So she is very protective. She loves her babies and anybody she lets in her home, and that's who she is. But if you cross her the wrong way, you God bless your soul, So the household was very disciplined, very, very strong. Do what you're supposed to do. There was some lenience, but you had to earn it, obviously.
Right.
But there was respect at the end of the day, and that was the one thing I remember is, and she'll say it today, is you don't have to love me, but you'll respect me. Mm-hmm. And the home was filled with respect. So that's just how it was.
Well, that's great. So I'm going to ask a pointed question.
Okay.
Since you're afraid of your little 5'2" mother, still to this day, they say dynamite comes in small packages. I've met a lot of explosive little women. Yeah. So was there a lot of corporal punishment in the home? Did you get whippings?
Man, I don't recall my dad ever giving us a whipping.
But did your mom?
You might want to turn the camera off.
There's nothing wrong with it. I mean,
Yeah. No, I was raised on switches, man.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
And I remember catching the paddle from school. I remember catching the paddle, gym or whatever. Those were cakewalks. Those hit me with a paddle.
Right.
I mean, come on.
This big, slow moving piece of wood.
Yeah, what is that? I said, but pull a strand from that, right? And it touches a little different. And so I was raised on a switch pretty much. I don't even remember the hand so much. I just remember go grab a switch. And I'll tell you a short story. I think we went to, I think it was Brother Cole's church here in Abundant Life when we were really little here in Beaumont.
Okay.
And he came up to my mother and said, Miss Vicky, your 3 children are the best in my congregation. Your kids are quiet. They're very, very well-mannered, the whole nine. And, Mom said, I appreciate it, And he says, but you're killing our trees outside. So would you mind bringing a switch from home?
Oh, that's great.
Because every church, she would rip one off the tree on the way in.
That's amazing.
I'm sure they laughed about it.
That is awesome.
But I could definitely see that. And, the household, the structure of the household, how we were disciplined, it was all love. It didn't come from a place of anything but, do what you're supposed to do. And it didn't take long, there is one time I ran from my mother,
Oh, that's nice.
And I remember this. I don't know how old I was, but I remember it. And I also remember saying, you're going to have to come back. And I stopped in my tracks and I said, there's no sense of running anymore. Maybe it'll be a little lighter. It didn't matter. When Mom said, I'm getting the switch, I don't care if you quit. I don't care what you did. You're still getting the switch, and you knew why you was getting it, So and that's the big difference. And I say in disciplined kids, you don't tell them why they're getting it. They think they're getting it,
Right.
So I already knew why I was getting it. So and the switch was not my friend,
Have you noticed in growing up in a situation like that when that type of, we can say a combination of words, fear, discipline, respect, when that stuff is instilled in a child from an early age and then reiterated through those developmental years, I notice a lot of folks, and I think maybe you're going to be one of these guys, there's not a whole lot in the world that I'm really overly afraid of.
Right.
I'm not more afraid of because I'm not more afraid of anything than I'm afraid of what I came from.
That's right.
And so I may have some, some basically some fearful moments, but they don't seem to last as long.
Yeah.
And so would you say that that's pretty similar to the things you've been through? Yeah,
I think so. I mean, I think it's I think childhood prepares you for your adulthood.
Indeed.
And unfortunately, some people don't get that love and discipline, and it shows in their adulthood.
That's right.
Yeah.
And if they sit down and really address the situations that they look at that they're dealing with, and really committed to saying, this started with my parents, and that's why I do this. You would find that you could probably overachieve that if you knew how to handle the situation as a child.
Right.
Right. So I agree. Yeah.
So it's another fascinating aspect of that is that discipline, a lot of people nowadays they frown on corporal punishment, and they look at it as, oh, that's abusive. You can't do that. That child has their own choices and blah, blah, blah. But you know what? We're seeing generations now that were raised without corporal punishment. And you know what they lack? This is an amazing thing. They lack confidence.
Yes.
That confidence came from knowing that you were loved and your mother was willing to sacrifice her comfort and put forth physical energy into you to teach you that I love you enough to correct your behavior through the lesson of pain.
Certainly, it's unspoken messages. Like your mother was watching the whole time. And although that may seem a little, discomforting to a child, in the back of our mind, I'm like, somebody's watching over me.
Right.
Somebody's taking care of me.
Right.
And they're enough to pay attention.
Yeah.
And especially when I don't do good, but hopefully there were rewarding times.
But isn't it fascinating?
Yes.
I mean, you're in a mental health field now also. You have a business of that. We'll talk about that in a minute. But isn't it fascinating that lesson of pain is the source of confidence?
Yeah.
That's fascinating to me.
Yeah. Which you think would be the opposite.
Yeah. Right? It seems counterintuitive.
Yeah.
But it's not.
It's not at all. Yeah.
And, there's, depending on who's out there in the audience, people of faith, but there's lessons in the Bible, one after the other, where that you have to go through a period of pain in order to experience.
Well, and my mother could quote some of those for sure, but there's a scripture in there that says, don't spare the rod, right?
Oh yeah.
And so my son's 18, and I don't think that's just laying down a switch or a law or in a sense of physical abuse touch. For me, I take it as don't spare the rod in a whole wide frame of things, so it's don't do that. And this is, so it's if you really, I think, take that and magnify it, it's more than that. My son's 18. And if that kid don't say serve via text, I'm like, and I can't remember the last time that I've ever, and I address my mother, yes, ma'am, through text. So if I look at that situation and say, man, when's the last time I put a whooping on him? God, he must have been 8 years old. Like I literally probably 8 years old since I last switched him. Everything else was verbal. It was in tone. It was in, I think by the age of 8, he literally got it and said, okay, I'm going to have to respect what I'm doing here. Respect myself, respect my family, and respect everybody else. So I remember we were going down the street, and he must have not been 7, 8 was the time we were living there. 2 trash cans were in the middle of the road, and I'm driving, and he says, Dad, stop. And I said, why? And he says, I want to pick up those trash cans and put them in the yard. I said, whose kid is this? And
Right.
And I was like, I've never, and now today I can't get him to pull the trash can up to the house,
Good for you. I mean, it's different.
I'm like, hey, it's Wednesday night. Go put the trash out. Okay. That's just weird how it changes. And then, for that, I rewarded him. It wasn't expected, but, immediately I remember I was like, hey, you want to go grab some ice cream? We had an ice cream parlor. He's like, where? And I was like, we'll go back to town. And he's like, yeah, and I don't even think he knew why, and I was like, I just appreciate you taking the initiative to do that. So
that's great.
That's awesome.
But, it's we don't even, I feel like people tell me all the time, you got a great son. And it's not that he's perfect by any means, but it's like, man, I guess it paid off a little bit, and knock on wood, he's a great kid. And, I don't have to deal with him. I mean, he's 18, he's got his own car, and if I need him, he's, right there at the house. He's not out partying. He's not, I know exactly what he's doing when he's doing it, because he tells me if he does it, so it's just it's a really good feeling. I'll tell you that. That's one stress I don't have to stress about. And I'm thankful, blessed. And that came from me getting my whoopings.
You mentioned that verse, that scripture that says, spare the rod, spoil the child. And you mentioned how it could be applied in a broad term, or broad sense. And I think that, I agree with you on that. And what I think that it could allude to is, don't alleviate punishment. Don't take away the consequences, whatever they are in life.
Right.
The consequences are what build our ability to be respectful of ourselves, respectful of others,
Exactly.
and to understand and appreciate achievements
Mm-hmm.
and loss.
Right.
So don't spare the consequences.
Yep.
Because the child will grow.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a prime example of that. So when you were a kid,
Yeah.
what did you dream of being?
Oh man, a cop, just like every other little gun toting kid, right?
Yeah.
You know, so that was kind of like, that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a cop. You know, I guess that lasted, and I got out of school. I got into a car wreck, and that kind of changed the direction in my mind, I guess, more so than anything, of what to become.
Right.
I had leg operations, hand operations, and other operations, and but the field of I guess you know, when you say cop or law officer or something like that, I think it was just more the wanting to help. Right? It was a passion to serve and protect, if you will. But I didn't know what serve and protect was. Right? I just knew that I wanted to be that guy that took care of the bad guys and help the people in need. So I think that's what I was focused on. And of course, I didn't take that route. I went completely nowhere near that. So, and that early childhood of learning of what to do with my life, right? So,
and that's normal. I mean, many of us, we have these childhood dreams, and life takes us in directions for our purpose, not just for our dreams. Yeah. And we become more close to what we were built to be rather than what we thought we wanted to be or idolized as a child. Right. But it's fun to know, you know, to think about, as, you know, what were your childhood? What did you idolize? Right. And a cop, fireman, you know, those kind of things are relatively normal.
They represent things to us, you know, whether it's a authority or whether, like you said, it's a helping profession. That's you know, they respond to problems, and and there's all kind of influences on why those things become attractive to us. I find it interesting, even in our industry, or the counseling coaching industry. I talk to people about how did you become, and we'll get to some of your story in just a little bit, but how did you become like a nurse or whatever? Well, that's part of the personality. It will attract them. It'll draw them in. Right. And it's pretty, I don't know, it's kind of fascinating, you know?
Yeah. And that's the thing about it. Like, you know, I look at what a cop or a law officer does today, and then how, you know, of course I'm not out there dressing up and putting bad guys away, but I'm going in that route, right? I'm trying to go that route where I'm helping people, you know, if you will. So still along the same lines, you know, maybe a doctor wanted to be a doctor, or a kid wanted to be a doctor. Now they're a vet, you know. I'm not operating on humans, but I went here. I'm helping. I'm saving lives of an animal, you know. So I feel like people do stay in that if they feel that passion, they're drawn into. There's somehow, some way it integrates into what they're doing in their careers today.
Sure. Even if it's in the mechanical trades or something like that, same thing. You know, they for whatever reason they're raised around maybe that world. To at least they're introduced to it, and it clicks. Fast, you know, that whole solving the problem. You know, putting my hands on it, fixing it.
Exactly. You know, either whether you're an IT tech guy, but you're messing with vehicles. You're still an IT guy. Yeah. At the end of the day, you're fixing mechanical moving parts or whatever. So I think it plays a part for sure.
Indeed.
Well, what did your parents do in your childhood while you were a kid?
So
professionally,
So my dad, he has been retired veteran. Since he got out of the service.
Did he stay in the service
so I think in
your childhood?
I think he has 2 Purple Hearts.
Oh wow.
So he was discharged way before I met him. He never worked for anybody.
What's his name?
Carl Edwin Smith.
Thank you for your service, Mr. Smith.
Thank you.
And so he I remember him saying I think he was a machinist for a little bit when he got out of the service. And then I think he just retired from the Army in a sense. But I know he had 2 Purple Hearts, or at least I know he's got 1 Purple Heart. And I think he did 3 tours. So he was, when I met him, we bought some land in Hillister. We built a home out there. I think we had about 10, 11, 12 acres, something like that, maybe over when we bought five piece, and we had a pond. And so it was a quiet, peaceful area. So he stayed home and woodworked and did all those kind of things. My mother, she stayed home after they got married, but she worked. She worked for an attorney for a long time when we lived in Austin, and she worked management in senses of I think over apartment complexes at one time. I think she didn't actually go to school until her 50s and got her degree. Yeah, and I commend her for that because I am not I didn't get that part from her, So
not yet. I mean, you ain't 50 yet.
Yeah,
you don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, so so she didn't work when we were there, but now unfortunately she works 7 days a week, so I'm trying to fix that for her too. But she didn't work, and so my parents were always home. When I got home from school, they were always there. So that family, we had dinner every night and wake up every morning, and that presence of family was there. So yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's. I look back and even me stepping in a house every morning, I don't know if my son realizes, but how, and I think he does at some points in life, but how blessed it is to have that
absolutely
at your homes and underneath your roof. So not questioning when it's and I traveled for a long time. I did until I got custody of my son, and so it was one of those things where it was just part of the job, to feed and provide, it's king of the gig. So, yeah.
So that's really cool. So you've got a lot of ambition to draw from, a lot of hardworking traditions of legacy to carry on from your parents. Yeah. I mean, if your dad, Mr. Smith, if he served 3 tours, that was a very dedicated man. And then your mom, still working. She's a very inspiring woman.
Yeah, for sure.
So how many siblings did you have growing up?
So I've got 2 older siblings. My brother's 3 years older than me. So I'm 41. He's older than me. And then my sister is the oldest. The oldest. She tries to
rub that in a little bit there.
Yes. And we're all 3 years apart. My brother's birthday is June 29th. My birthday is June 30th. And my sister's is July 5th.
Wow.
Yeah. I think I'm right on 5th. Yeah, I think it's the 5th.
They really knew how to time that. That's impressive.
Right. That's some. I said, Dad must have got a bonus from the.
Something happened at exactly the same time.
Yeah, every 3 years, the pension pay. I don't know, but I do remember sharing a cake, with my brother. I think there may have been a Barbie doll on one of those at one point for my sister.
That was your favorite one.
That was my favorite one. So, that was our childhood and growing up in the small, we weren't too far apart, but we were. And, but I do remember when we were younger, sharing a lot of birthdays together in the city. Yeah. So, which I didn't care. It's what it is. Mm-hmm.
Well, you're the baby. So, you're going to be naturally the favorite. So you wouldn't care.
Yeah, I wouldn't. That's my job.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, that's what I get away with. So, but yeah, that's it. Just 2 other siblings. Yeah. So
where's your sister now?
So she's in Livingston, Texas. It's up north, obviously. Mm-hmm. And she's lived there for 30 years, long time. And that was before Christ too, so she's on 3,000. No, just kidding. Again, she's the oldest.
Right.
And
By a long shot.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I say that because I'm in a safe place. That's what you told me.
Yeah. You're in a safe place.
When I get out of here and I go missing,
I can't protect you for long, but at least while you're with
If you leave the nest,
I'll take you from there.
That's it.
Go in hiding. And then my brother lives here in Lumberton. And then my parents live in Lumberton as well. So
very good.
We're not too far from each other. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So what do you do now?
That's the magic question everybody asks. And I know you and I have talked about a lot of that. But what do I do now?
Well, let's be more specific. So you talked about how you wanted to be a cop because you wanted to protect and serve. And you see how that translated into part of what you do now. So part of what you do now, as I alluded earlier, is a mental health service.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Tell us about that, and tell us how you gravitated and moved into that.
Sure. So I'll start I did construction right out of school. Worked for 84 Lumber, which is a lumber yard out of Silsbee for a few years, and went to Houston with them, and then stayed in the lumber business sales side of that for a little bit there. I remember in 2006, I transitioned to the gas and oil.
Okay.
And did that up to 2021 in a sense, I guess. And so when COVID came through, if you weren't selling sanitation, you weren't selling nothing, basically, anything to, help that situation. So in about that time, my mother had finished school with what her degree was. And she has a bachelor's and master's and she does, she's a certified rehabilitation counselor. And she tells me it's CRCC. I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't care. So she is the bookworm in the book, right? And she's, very proud of that, and I'm very proud of her for that.
I'm glad you followed up with that.
Yes.
Because I could hear the switch being peeled out of the tree from the first part. Good. Okay.
Yeah. So my hat is off to her.
Good job. Good recovery, by the way.
Lots of hard work. More than I would probably honestly ever put in, and I mean that. As much as I love what I do and how I do it, sometimes I look for the easy way out in some of these things because it's like I don't need that paper. I know what I need to do, So, but she's got all the paperwork and everything. So I was transitioning, helping her with her business, which is called Allied Counseling Rehab Services.
Okay.
Her first time to go to school was to support veterans and do mental health for veterans.
The worthy cause.
Right. So my dad, obviously a vet, and she was, she sat on that ideal for a little bit and realized that after almost 30 years of marriage, she's not changing his mind to do anything that he don't want to do. So she went back to school and focused it around children. And that basically, kind of plays a part in what we do obviously now. And when you look at people's lives, and I'll take my own, for instance, if I didn't have that strong backbone mother and that strong figure father, that I could have done whatever I needed to do in life, make my own choices because there's no one to stop me. Right. So she directed it towards children. So she kept the business name Allied Counseling Rehab Services. And that service was to support children's strengths and needs and their skill building. So that is the business where she started. So I was coming out of gas and oil. I'd quit with a company over 10 years working with them. They sold out and got with a little company to do sales with safety equipment. So in that, I was kind of like leaning on her, looking like, okay, this is powerful. These are things that I had, and these are the things that I needed. And you gave me all those things. And about that time, I would say that would have been 2020, 2021, somewhere around there. I was going through a lot of things myself. And, I kind of just said, this looks like something I need to do for myself. I need to change my path here. And at that time, I think it was 2020, maybe right at 2022, into 2021. But I had what most people know, some people know me for Ray of Hope in Life. So I had wanted to do that because back in 2014, my first wife, her brother, which was my brother-in-law, which was pretty much my brother's 2 years younger than me, took his life in 2014. So from 2014 up to that period of life where I was, mom was creating her business and the whole thing was going out, growing up with Randy Ray and just being a part of his life for the time that I was, I could almost see looking back where he lacked some of the things that we teach now. And, whether you put it on parents or if you put it on yourself or if you put it on your peers, however you chalk it up to be, he didn't have it, So, I told Mom, I just looked at her, I said, what do I got to do this? I said, I don't want to go to school over 10 years. I said, I don't need a degree. I said, but I want to put people in, I want to see how I can help. And that's basically how Ray of Hope and Life got created. So Allied Counseling Rehab Services, which we call ACRS, and Ray of Hope, which most people call it by, are the same entity. They are not the same entity, they're the same structured business. We do the exact same thing. So my mother and I work together. And we, discuss business together, how we're going to do things next. We learn together, we fail together, we grow together. And we have I would say 9 or 10, team of people, one in the office, and then the rest out in the field, if you will. We have a small office in Lumberton off of Cooks Lake Road. And people are like, what? Cooks Lake Road? Yes. We built a building and spent a whole lot of money to make this feel like it's home. It's not your, glass windows, nothing against this, skyscraper. It's not your spindle top. It's not your Baptist behavioral check-in. I don't have that set up, but what I do have is, I think, passionate people following their hearts, and they're, like when you say, what do you want to be when you're growing up? It's the same thing where cancel that. And, that's who I have. And, so we interview these people. They have a list of requirements that they have to achieve or have by the state. We're mandated by the state. We're a Medicaid-based service. I believe everybody that's come through our service, we try to make sure they understand, like, hey, if something's not right here, you tell us. We don't have to call a corporate number. Here's my cell phone number. You call me and I'll fix it. If it's wrong, we're going to fix it. But that business started with her, and I followed suit. And so did my brother, actually, and my sister. So we had a location. We're closing it down now. But we had a location in Livingston for the last 2 years, I think. So kind of regrouping here, doing some things. My brother actually has a location as well in Lumberton as well, up on the north end side of it. So, and so it's kind of a family business, if you will. We're all in the same kind of pot, looking at that thing. So there's a lot of, knowledge being passed around. Hey, what happened over there with this, and how do y'all fix this, and how can we fix that? And when you're dealing with insurance, that's the biggest problem. Yeah. And, you would think it's the parents or the kids, or no, it's dealing with.
It's third
and
party.
I see why so many LPCs and people are like, it's cash only, because you don't have the answer in anybody. And it's not to get away with things. It's just, there's
just
so many
difficult
regulations.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, they don't tell you when it changes. They don't tell you how it changes. They don't tell you how to fix it almost. It's like OSHA, right?
And that stuff's not put there. All of it's not put there to help the client.
No.
It's there to keep people out of the business is what it seems
and
like.
Medicaid, unfortunately, is a...
Now, if I wanted to write you a pill prescription, oh shoot, I don't even need to be an MD at this point in life, just like here it is, But if I want to take time with you, if I want to change a generation, if I want, there's so many guidelines on what you can and can't do, and that's why I opened my nonprofit, and that's why I spoke to you about being a coach myself. Like I don't want to be bound by a bunch of paper. If I got a man that comes to me and says, David, I'm on the edge. Well, fill this out.
Right.
And I'll get you in next week. And, God bless you. I'm sorry, I can't say that, but, take care, So it's like, I know I don't want to do that. I want that. I see a problem. I want to be the solution or get you a solution. And so I have a nonprofit, Raise Hope, and it's a 501c3. And that is more directed towards, medical support, medical supplies, clothing, food. Man, I really haven't written anything off the board. We were with help of others, and other bigger organizations, they helped me, and I'm so thankful for that. And shout out to Autumn Brown for helping me solve some of these problems. But a hot water heater, a washer or dryer, or I don't care if it's paper towels for the week, or something like that, just to support the household for other finances. And, a stick of deodorant's $8 now. That's more than minimum wage. So I get that, somebody hygiene may not be right, because they put gas in their car that morning instead of buying a stick of deodorant. And we don't realize that until you really sit down with somebody and say, I had to choose, and there's parents out there having to choose medical prescription drugs over, 2 loaves of bread. We're going to do 1 loaf of bread and you're going to get 1 slice today. And that's how serious it is.
Oh, I know.
And, but if you dig in the trenches, if you get in the trenches, you'll see that, and some organizations don't do that because they have a different mindset of, where they want to be in life. And I don't want to be on a yacht. I honestly don't. I don't want to be somewhere where I can't see the troubles in my backyard. And I want to be in my backyard where the troubles are. So that's the business of where I'm in now. I do still do sales and safety equipment, and that's still part of my everyday life. I got some things that I'm working on that's I'm going to transition hopefully soon with that. But that's my passion is Ray of Hope, and it's a very rewarding beyond any measure of finance or pat on the back or whatever when you can actually see that and my goal would be or my mission to see this through would be if we are able to put a child through what we're doing and turn around and say, hey, are you hiring? Because this saved my life. This changed my direction of where I'm at. I think I would retire or say, job well done, team. So yeah.
Isn't that what a ministry is, though?
Yeah. Probably so. Yeah. Saying you if you really look at it, and what are you doing that's going to change somebody, right? And like, if this is what this does, then man, awesome, really awesome. That's something that you can't put a price tag on.
Indeed.
So yeah.
Well, that is amazing. That's a wonderful journey, and I do believe that what you've just described is a ministry.
Yeah.
It does have all the appearances of a fulfilling, gratifying purpose.
Right. Yeah, it definitely does, and a lot of and a lot of people still call us counselors. They still call us, and we're not. And let me make that clear. Like, well, what's the difference between LPC and what you guys do? And so we don't counsel at all. Like, there is no counseling done at our services. We are strictly here to provide services for, like boundary settings, anger management, social skills, academic support, everything that really made me into an adult. I had all those life skills settings, how to react when you told me kick rocks, or why didn't you open the door for me? And what's that reaction for me?
Right.
Well, I was taught to open the door for anyone, my elders or anybody. It's a lot to do with reaction, and a lot of these kids don't know how to do it because their parents don't know how to teach it. The parents weren't taught how to do it. So we're helping parents parent. We're helping kids understand parenting and how it operates. We're not here I didn't get my toy, or I didn't get, my game when I went to the store. Why did mom say you were going to get one when you got there? Did y'all go specifically there? And sometimes, when you hear it from somebody else, they're willing more to listen, right? The kid's an angel with you and a hellion with me,
right.
that setup.
They don't have the association.
Right. There's
memory.
There's no line for them to really push with us, right? Because it's unknown.
So something that I hear you doing, sorry, Chuck, something that I hear you doing, people don't know what to call things. They don't know what to call us a lot of times.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an LPC. I get called names, but they don't know where to put us as far as categorically, what do you do? What's your profession? How do I describe it? Well, something that you are doing is equipping people.
Yes.
That's a whole different, you're helping them.
Tools with them on their belt. Right. And now, just, are you going to use them is the question.
You can't help that.
Tool. It's yours to use now. We get these children an hour a week, and sometimes they'll come 3 times a week. 3 times a month. And a parent will always say this, well, how long does it take? What's the diet plan look like? How good are you doing on that diet? It's a lifestyle. It's not a weekend fix. It's not a 1 hour fix.
That's right.
It is a lifestyle, and it's consistency. It is, it's just staying on top of it. And when we send that not only home with the child, we send it home with the parent too. And you have to apply it at the times that it needs to be applied.
Right.
And
we just imply these are generational.
Right.
The child's learned to be this.
Yes.
So I find myself counseling parents as much as I do kids.
Yes.
And I get the kid out of the room. I tell them, hey, go for a walk. I need to talk to your folks for a little bit.
Yeah.
Or I'll call them later after they leave.
Right.
And the folks are like, I never thought about that.
Right.
I'm like, I understand.
Right.
That's what I was going to say earlier. Isn't it amazing how quickly those skills can drop off in just a generation?
Right.
And
very quick.
Yeah. And
then change the whole path of the next generation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I find myself talking to grandparents who can't quite figure out why their kids didn't get it. And now they're having to take over for these children, these grandchildren. And it happens so often. Yeah.
We have a lot of grandparents that come through our services, and, you can tell they're exhausted from raising children. Right. And I totally get that. But, obviously they don't want them. They're not going to dismiss the child into the system or anything, but they don't know what to do. They don't know what this is or that is, and what's this mean. And, they couldn't imagine being called bruh. It's like, what? I don't even think back in the day, if you said that, I don't even think the parent would have known what that meant. And you probably would have just got your mouth smacked, It would be like, well, it's not sir. So there you go. I don't know what you just said to me. Where today it's comical, we're making shirts. It went from, what does it say? Mommy, mom, bruh.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're almost, we're allowing it, and then it's like, in fact, I had to tell my son one day, I said something. He said, bro. I said, no, homie.
No, this is dad.
Not bro.
Yeah, this is
it
dad.
is dad. Yeah. And don't disrespect me again like that.
Keep on and it'll be Mr.
Right.
Dad.
Yeah. I said, you're probably friends, bro. And some people look at, I'm not his friend. I'm not his friend. I'm his dad till I die.
Yeah.
And when we have a cool time together, I'm still his dad. I'm his cool dad, and that's just the way it's going to be.
But those could be more appreciated because there's a foundation to come from. And these folks come in, especially the parents, and they'll say things like that.
Yeah.
I just want to be my kid's best friend. I go, until it's not funny anymore.
Yeah. And then
you'll know that moment.
Yeah. And then they have to, well, what's the guideline now? Because nothing's said anymore. They don't know.
Right.
And
how do they reclaim that?
Right.
And I don't even know that they can, but I don't know that they'll have a choice but to try.
Exactly. And that's what you have to, I had one parent, I don't know how long ago, this was a year ago or more, call me and give me a list of the problems and everything that's going on. And I'm like, man, that's a lot, Jesus.
We try not to tell them, but on the other side of the phone, we're like, oh my
man,
word. Yeah.
bless your heart. And I'm sincere about that. Like, woo, that's one child? You're talking about one child? So I'm looking at the checklist box. I'm like, I might need to add a box, But anyways, bless his mother's heart. She said, David, I'm at the end of my rope. And I said, it's okay. We got more rope. We're going to tie it on and we're going to keep, pulling ourselves up. Okay. So I said, now, I said, how old is this child? And it was a teenager. It's like 13, 14 years old. I said, how long has this been going on? Oh, since he was about 2. I was like, oh man, do you want me to, how are we going to do this? So, and all I can say is we're going to try. We're going to do our best. That's what we're going to do. And I want you to do your best. And you've done good so far by picking up this phone.
There you go.
Right. And if you picked up this phone, that tells me that you want to be here, unless someone's on the other end of that pushing you to do it. All I can do is give it my best. And, it was kind of like through sales, people didn't want to deal with this guy because of this, and he's a jerk, and give him to me. I'll take it, end up buying more for me, making me salesman of the month than any of y'all, and that's the way I look at this. Is this kid didn't really choose this. He was given this option to be this way. He was either not taught or taught. And, this parent was the same thing, not taught or taught. And so that's just what comes from that. When you fill a landfill full of oil, you got a landfill full of oil, right? So it's one of those things where this is a situation that the kid has to learn, the parent has to learn, they have to learn together, and it's really tough. And we tell these kids on a certain level, depending on their age, of course, that my providers will, I said, make sure they understand this is not counseling, and nothing against counseling, nothing against LPCs whatsoever, because they have a task to do.
Absolutely.
Right? And we have a task to do. And we work with a lot of LPCs. They say, hey, it's not really trauma related. Well, we're not here to talk about why you're here. We know why you're here. Mother has filled out your rap sheet, boy. We got you down to the beat. Right? Now it's really for us to see that from you. Don't come in. We tell a parent, we don't want to see them on their best behavior. I mean, we don't want to see them on their worst, but we want to see what's creating this. Yeah. That way we can address it. And, I tell them, has counseling happened here? No. Has a trauma came out? Most definitely. And it tells us why they were self-cutting, or why they wanted to take their life, or why they did what they did to that poor dog, or whatever they did. And with that, we say, hey, go see this gentleman, and if you want to talk about that, now's the time, if you feel comfortable. But while you're doing that and you're talking about that and you feel that hurt and that pain and you want to release that, let's not do it the way you want to do it that hurts you physically. Let's do it this way. And here's the tool to do that. Right. And that's kind of what we do, so, yeah. And that brings it, and you'll hear kids, man, I don't need this medication, Well, why don't you? Because I know what I'm doing. Okay. You just don't want to. And you don't like it because it makes you feel groggy, or it makes you sick, or whatever it is. And you don't like just taking it. So how do we convince mom and dad or grandma to get you off of it? Right. You gotta show that you don't need that. If you don't really need that, you got to show the doctor that's right. And you got to do your work. And, that's just part of it. So we don't manage or prescribe medication. We accept kids on it. We accept kids off of it. It's just, we're here to help where we're here to help. And then everybody's else got their role. Right. And that's why I feel like we work with pediatricians, family services, judges, dentist office. I work with anybody that knocks on that door. You come to that threshold, and that's what I tell them. That's what Raise Hope was designed for. I had a mother, her son had some sinus issues, and we were, my nonprofit was we did kind of a boots on the ground selling some stuff, and we were able to get the money for him to go to Texas Children and get the operation done. And guess what? He wasn't depressed anymore. He got back into sports because he would get sick, wouldn't be able to play his sports. Right. So the sinus correction fix all that for him, right? That's like the biggest testimony I have.
That's
It feels so good. And it was, man, to them and to me, it was a lot of money. It was over $2,000, you know. But I remember that day, I was soaking my feet, man. It was just a long day, you know. And we were a couple $100 short. And she had called me and she says, "Hey, we did it." And I was like, "You got all of it?" And she goes, "Well, we're a couple $100 short. We'll make that. You know, we'll be fine." And I said, "No, we're going to get that." And I said, I said, "We're going to get that before this night closes." And I remember just saying, "God, someone send that money to her. Just, I don't care if it's, you know, and 5-10 different increments, somebody send that to her." It wasn't 2 hours later, she called me back and said, "Someone just sent me exactly what I needed." And I was like, there you go. So, wow. And I woke up that morning, and I'm a big faith believer because my path has showed me that I can't believe him in something else. I got to believe in something higher than me.
Right.
So that's, and I'm cool with it, whatever you believe in. But for me, I woke up that morning, and whether you manifest it, mindset, whatever, you know, I said, "God," I said, "I need every penny of this, what this mother needs to get this done for this child." Mm-hmm. And the moon didn't pass over, and it was done. So that's just how strong my faith is. You know, my mom told me a story one time. Your granny prayed over her washer, and it works. I said, "Hey, whatever works. You know, if that's all the money and time I've got to expend, I'm going to send a prayer out." You know, so that's just kind of how I am with things. And some people will look at me and think that I just don't go to church and don't believe, and, you know, just by appearance or maybe whatever. Hey, you believe all you want, you know. I know what I believe in. I wake up every single morning. I wake up during the night saying, "Oh, okay, all right, thank you, God. I'm just going to the restroom. I'm gonna go back to sleep. When I wake up again, can you put me in the same spot? You know, can I be alive again?" Because I'm thankful, man. I really am. I'm like, I don't know, maybe with age has got me there, but I literally wake up anytime and I'm like, "Thank you, Lord. Okay, I'm going to the restroom. Go back to sleep. And don't take me now, you know, give me some more time." So, yeah, so it's a very rewarding, and I don't want to call it business. I want to call it a passion. It's just it's a rewarding passion.
Good word.
And if you love what you do, I tell people all the time, if you love what you do, you'll never fail. I say that you may fail, but you'll never give up.
You may have failures.
Yeah, failures, right? Exactly. But like it's in you, you're gonna empty your last penny, your lint out of your pocket, your shirt off your back, and you're gonna see it through. Whether there's a reward or not in your mindset, you know. I don't do this for rewards, except for, you know, feeling like accomplished, that person, you know.
Fulfillment.
Yeah, it's a fulfillment, man. It's something that you can't get in any other way. So
in that regard, are you successful?
Do
you consider yourself a success?
You know, that success is how do you break that down?
It's a matter of perspective.
Yeah.
That's why I asked, do you consider yourself?
I'm not going to decline saying I'm not. You know, I feel successful. Okay. I feel like I could do better.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
And the question is not, are you finished?
Yeah.
The question is, do you feel successful?
Yeah, I do.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
I do feel like I'm doing something.
Good.
And that sometimes I don't. And people remind me of that, you know, because I think something's so small. You know, I was like, well, you know, that was small compared to what I did over here.
Right.
And maybe no one said something over here to me, and that's fine. But you notice something that small, like that's successful to you. I was like, man, I got 10 times bigger dreams than that, you know? So, but yes, I do feel that successful. Yeah.
So on that note, and thank you for sharing so many different components of what you guys are doing. It's beyond impressive, beyond beautiful, and I appreciate the ministry. What would you say would be one of the biggest or some of the biggest competitors, either to yourself or to just y'all's passions as you move forward? The biggest competitions.
That's within our services.
It could be, or it could be you personally, and you know, and your what you bring to it, or
man, competition. And I guess I don't look at it competition. Mm-hmm. We're outnumbered. Mm-hmm. You probably know that from sitting in the same side of the world. I went recently to Region 6 over here in Harris County, and I'm looking to, expand that way still. And I said, David, there's not enough of us. I said, there's not enough of us over there. She goes, no, I lived in Region 5. She goes, Region 6, there's not enough of us. But so there's competition is I guess it would be working against the numbers.
Yeah, the size of the need.
The size of the need and I people, hey David, I want to help. And they're on Facebook. I want to help. Mm-hmm. All right, shoot me a message. I'll shoot you a message. Oh, you left me on red. Oh, you haven't responded in 2 weeks, and I needed you a week ago.
Right.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I find sometimes I end up doing this alone, and people are like, why are you doing it alone? And it's like, look, a volunteer is, you're going to show up or you're not. I'm not going to, I'm going to reach out maybe once, say, hey, we're going to be here at this time or do this at this time. But I really feel like if you're passionate about it, mm-hmm. you're calling me. Yeah. You're finding out what you need to bring to the table, right? Mm-hmm. That's what a true volunteer, I feel like, needs to do. Mm-hmm. And so my competition is myself, is the numbers I work against, mm-hmm. And I can't solve them all, right? And it's, what's priority, structuring that and mm-hmm. knowing that I can't take on everything. And I tell people I can't help with that, sorry. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, I use my platform on Facebook to try to help and promote. And I feel like my hands are out, and I hate that feeling. But that's literally when I started Raise Hope, because I was pulling out of my own pockets, and I'm like, mm-hmm. and there was times I pulled out of my own pocket and I shouldn't have. And I'm like, well, I can pay that late. That's fine. I'm like, David, what are you doing here? Like you should have paid that first before some other person. But I always say that, in fact, the first time I met Just was at All About Art at Brian Green's. He was doing he had his trailer there, and I just walked up to the window and I said, hey man, I'm David Cook. He's like, I'm Just, no, I'm just kidding. I'm the coolest guy in town.
Mine's the best.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know in the audience, Just Rabelais is one of our guests we've had, and he is a local business owner. He has several food dispensaries. Yeah. They're very addictive food places. Yeah. Smash Wagon is one of them. Old West Smoke Company and Side Chick. Mm-hmm. And now he's even a part of another venture, Avenue Axe, where he's providing his amazing food services there as well. And anyway, that's who he's talking about. For those of you who are wondering.
Yeah. I'm sure he's thanking us for that plug right now.
Yes.
So I met him and I was like, hey, I just walked out the window, man. I was like, he seemed so excited about what he was doing. And I didn't know him I did not know him, at all. Didn't even know his first name. So I said, hey, could I get with you on like doing some like free burgers, or not free burgers, but, kid burgers, And he's like, yeah. And I was like, what would you do on just a burger, just burger or whatever, fries. And I think it was like $5 or $6. He's like, I'll do $5-6, right? And I said, all right. So I don't know if we did 50 burgers, 100 burgers. I don't remember what we did. And I was like, you got that on you right now? And he's like, yeah, I got, I can make this. And I was like, okay. So I just post, get over here, try this burger. And he was willing to cut the price of what it is for a kid's burger. He didn't make kid burgers. There's no single patty kid burger, right? But I just knew, like, if a parent wanted to come eat here or support him or whatever, just come get their kid a drive-through burger.
Right.
That's at least McDonald's price, right? I mean, if not less at that point. So he was just that quick to jump on it, I don't even think he crunched numbers, so I don't know if he made money, lost money or what. But that's how I met Just. And that's how our friendship started. And he's still that guy. If I go to him and say, hey, I want to do this, he's on it. It's like, you want to crunch those numbers first before you give all this away? It's like, I got it,
Some of us are more interested in making a difference than we are making a profit.
That's right. That's right.
And I think that's valuable.
Well, and what I told him, and if I'm saying this correct, he'll, he said, let me do something for you or something like that for doing this. And he was quick to give back, like even though he was giving, he was quick to give back to me. And I said, no, I said, I remember saying, you can't give me what my God can give me back. Mm-hmm. So you save whatever you were going to save, and give it to the next person. So, and I promise you look at me and Jess, and probably wouldn't think those guys pray at all, but that dude prays just as much as the next guy sitting on the front pew, if not more. So,
well, I'll tell you what, David, you've been an amazing guest today, and we really appreciate your story. And mental health is like a spider web. Mm-hmm. There are so many aspects and services that are needed, that are necessary in order to equip people to heal and become better. Because there's not just someone's not just healed. Right. They're in always a process of healing. Always. Mm-hmm. Always. So it's always necessary to have more tools and people equipping people in this industry. So I personally am grateful to know what you do and how you do it. Mm-hmm. How does someone in the audience get in touch with you? How do they use your services? If they, plug yourself, give yourself a plug right now. So
we're Ray of Hope in Life is on Facebook. That's the biggest platform that I'm on. Search engine us there or on Google. We're on Google, Ray of Hope in Life out of Lumberton, Texas. There's a phone number. You call that phone number, Miss Kia will answer that phone, speak with you about what you're needing and if we can help accommodate that. We send you a quick link. You sign up on your phone. That starts the process. We don't need a doctor referral. I don't need you to tell you. Literally, it's on your own. It's there, and it's a very quick process. And we're not. Sometimes we're able to get people in the same week as an assessment done with a parent or even the child. So our people work really hard, and man, my team is awesome. Dude, I'm telling you, I don't say it enough to them, and I'm not around enough but they're really awesome. And so if you are already a client, get on Google and tell them that they're amazing because they need that. But yeah, you can find us on Google and Facebook. That's it.
So if someone wanted to contribute to the cause, because I know that in practices like yours and that we always are in need of contributors, people who are willing and able to help. Yeah. How would they do that?
So Raise Hope, which is my nonprofit. I have different. I do have a website, raisehope.inc.com. There's ways to support financially if you want to do that. But man, and I'm so finicky about that stuff. I'm like, I don't need your money. Not yet anyways, but I'm also, I'm more so like, if you want to help go, I'm big on getting in town, right? And meeting these people. Cause here's the way I see it. If I give you a burger and you walk off, you don't even know my name, but if you sit down at my table and I sit with you, right, and we enjoy that, we have that burger together, you know my name. You know that you can come back here, not just for a burger and not just for $20 to get gas in your tank. Right. You can come back here and you need something else, but you're going to make the effort. I'm going to see if you're making the effort. So you can support financially, obviously, 501c3, or, be a volunteer. Anytime I raise my hand, follow me on Facebook, David Cook. That's kind of the biggest platform I'm on that I tell people to follow me if you really want to help. Or if you want to help. So, yeah.
Well, very good. Yeah. So we've got a couple of questions that we ask every guest as we close the show. They are our traditional questions, and there are two of them. All right. Okay. So I'm gonna let Truck ask you the first one, and I'll ask you the second one.
Okay. Which one you want?
The bottom two.
All right. Let's see. So now you're at a chance to influence. So what advice would you give yourself, mm-hmm, if you could go back, to talk to that younger self, and before you started what you were doing, and so I know you've had several incarnations as a professional man, starting as a young man into your 20s and such. But if you could go back and give some of that initial advice to say, just know this, do this. I want you to know this before you get to this stage, what would you tell yourself?
Man, trying to sum that up in a couple of sentences. I think the biggest thing would me to learn quicker, and I've learned that here so more ever, is to control what you can and let go of what you can't.
That's pretty good.
It is good.
That effort of can't change the past, all that effort of just trying to why not, why this, why, what if, and this and this and that and all that energy. Meanwhile, the world is passing you by. Opportunities are passing you by. I just missed a $100 deal, $1 million deal. Who knows what I missed, right? Missed my best friend that I didn't know I had. All the opportunities that I held on over here that amount to nothing anymore because I can't control them. I'm not in control of it. I would go back and say, let all of that go. Let all that go. I can't walk. Okay. What can I do? I can do this. Okay. I can't open my hand. I can't do this. So choosing what I can do and control, focus on that and grow that side of that. That would be the one thing that I could just say, let go of things I couldn't control a lot sooner.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. So the second question is sort of very similar to that, except that it's not directed at your younger self. You're actually, this time, what would you tell someone else who aspires to become like you? Someone who wants to or admires David Cook. What would you tell them? A younger person who, let's say they're 18, 19, 20, whatever they are, and they think that you're somebody to become. What advice would you give them?
Believe in yourself. There was a long time I didn't believe in myself, and there's still some days that I believe I can't, but I let that go. Right? I can't just because I failed. I'm not going to go back and try to change that, or I'm going to move forward. I'm going to go around that roadblock. Believe it in yourself. And if it's in you, it's a passion, then you seek it out. You don't stop. But if it's not a passion, let it go. If it's something you're not into it and you're not going to do it, and it can be anything, whatever you want to be. But if you believe in it and you believe in yourself, you may doubt yourself because of failure, or failing rather. But I would say if anybody is looking in my field, and there's some guys that are my age and a couple of younger people actually that, want that self reward, chase it. Call me. I got plenty of stuff you could help with. We can go I can take y'all to 10 houses right now and mow their yard, and we can just move stuff so this lady can get in her house a little bit better. If you want to help, pick up the phone, message me, if you want to follow that passion, but believe in yourself, whatever it is, and believe in what you're doing.
Well, that's a great message.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think that you've brought a great story to our audience. I hope that you feel satisfied with the way this interview has gone. I know that you've brought a lot of valuable content to the folks that are viewing you and listening to you right now. We appreciate you being a part of our show. Guys out there in the audience, thank you so much for tuning in with us on this episode. I'm Rob.
I'm Chuck, and I want to say something real quick to David before we
please.
say goodbye.
My goodness,
no,
please.
I just want to say I appreciate you, appreciate what you are doing, and I know that you get a lot of those things, pats on the backs and thank yous, but you definitely have matured to a point, like you said, I quit worrying about the I can't controls, and you focused on what is. This is a problem. So it's a problem with human beings, and then that frees you up to focus on the how we're going to change.
That's
right.
I
can tell you what's solid, and that's the why.
Yeah,
your heart is coming through. It's like these are people, these are human beings, these are children with a chance, and my hope is to give them that.
Yeah,
and that's where I hear raise hope. I really do.
You are living the why.
That you're living the why.
That is beautiful.
Yes. So thank you, man. Thank you for coming and sharing all that today. Appreciate it.
Yes. So As I said before, thank you guys for allowing us to become a part of the pursuit of your purpose. I'm Rob.
I'm Chuck.
And today we've had with us a wonderful guest,
David
Cook. He has shared his journey with us. Thank you guys. Y'all have a great day.